my wife just said, we're so thankful to everyone who's here today. There's some people that are very special, have always been here with us. Okay, I think that she's already mentioned a few. I mean, Jeff, definitely, and of course, Elliot, who can't be here, and I understand why at this point. But Carmen, yeah, she's my, what you call, comrade in arms. She's my battle sister, okay? She was there, help keep the candlelight lit when everything else seemed like it was going dark. Okay, there's my other sister Liz, who at this point was also there, giving that inspiration, saying, "Fernando, I love you. I have something for you." I say, "Yeah, come on. No, don't worry. I have something for you, Liz. This is not the time for me to get any gift because we were still in the throes of battle." But she was there with Carmen and Bianca, who called me that day. I remember. She said, "Fernando, listen. The Bronx is the hardest hit borough, county of all the counties with respect to the certification. 8 judges were denied certification. 3 on the criminal side, 5 on the civil side. Okay, and it was tough because at that point, yeah, you approach judges because Jeff led the charge along with Brad Hoylman because they convened a joint committee to tackle the whole issue of what the chief judge had done in terms of refusing to certify the 46 judges at that point. She used the rules that it was because of the budget. It never was because of the budget. It was because that there was this movement afoot to try to simplify or unify the courts, which meant that she really wanted to do away with the election of judges. Okay, and that's something that could never be the case because the people at the end of the day are the ones who decide who should be the judges. And that was what it was. And of course, the budget thing being what it was. But having said that, we stood, and it seemed to me that it would have been ironic and it would have been shameful. It would have been absolutely shameful for Jeff Dinner was to stand up and say, "Listen, we're going to fight this unconstitutional conduct and action on the part of the chief judge, and for not one judge in my county to be a named plaintiff." Okay? So it happened, but it's not about when you see me. It's not about my having come back or what I've represented. It's what all of you, the Supreme Court Judge Association, have done. Okay, you stand together. You have to stand together because what happened back then, 2020, the pendulum was swinging in one side. Today you do have an administration, judicial administration, chief judge, and a chief administrative judge for the OCA that are more receptive to the needs of the judges. Okay, and they welcome some of the changes. But just as the pendulum swung in this direction, it can swing back. There'll be another governor, and there'll be more DFIORs in the wings. And the type of atmosphere that was created back then, it was so thick you could taste it. I mean, the intimidation, the threatening, the retaliation, and the cowering of judges. And I don't say this in a demeaning way, but everyone just tucked under and just felt that it'll go away on its own. But it didn't go away on its own. It had to be challenged. And it was people like Carmen Velasquez, Bianca, Liz, and others who chose to then fight with respect to the lawsuit. Something that had been unheard of. How in the world could you ever envision judges suing their own chief judge? That was something that was unheard of. Okay? And it took a lot of courage. It took a whole lot of people to come together and to stand up and be willing to get hit with those tomatoes that normally do get hit when you stand up. And it's easy to go with the program, see, because sometimes when you put those robes on, robes have a tendency, just like titles, have a tendency to intoxicate people. You start thinking that somehow at some point things don't really apply to you because you can almost walk on water. Listen, the honorific titles, you honor this, judge that. You always have to fight from keeping that, letting that get to you and somehow dissuade you from keeping your feet firmly on the ground. That's what happened at that point. I don't pretend to be a hero. I never was. I don't stand up here trying to fan myself. We took some hits. There were some bad hits, And it was this lady that had suffered with me through those 4 years. And when somebody tells you, after you've worked you're so hard, that, you know what, you're not going to be certified. I said, why? What in the world is the reason? Oh, poor work product. Poor work product. Now, you can accuse me of a whole lot of things, but poor work product was never one of them. And to this day, I had requested from then the Chief Judge Lawrence Marks of OCA for the so-called file that was submitted by the then administrative judge that we had here, that was submitted to the administrative board that then made the determination as to whether, in fact, I should be certificated or not. Because I wanted to have the opportunity to appeal it and to be reconsidered. To this day, I have yet to receive anything in writing. Because for those judges who are seeking to be certified or certificated in the near future, understand this, that if your certification is denied, the administrative board does not have to give you a reason for why, in fact, you're denied. Because you do not have, and listen very carefully, pursuant to Mara versus Bartlett, 1979 case that went up before the Court of Appeals, the opinion was written by Justice Jones. They say there that judges do not have due process rights when it comes to certification. They do not have to give you a reason. Now, you may be young and you may think, well, that's far off the beaten path. That hasn't been happening, but I'm telling you, the pendulum can swing the other way. And when it swings the other way, you may not have a Judge Zayas. You may not have a Judge Wilson. And if you don't stand together now and come together and create that unified force that you need as judges to create, because I always say that whoever occupies that center square in that judicial floor, that's who's going to control. No one's saying that the judiciary should control everything, the judges, but you should have a foothold in that center square. It's like the panopticon. Those who don't know what that is, you stand in the center and you can see everything around you. The judges have been, for the most part, relegated to something other than that in the past. But I'm glad to see that there is some sort of movement in that direction. But you're not always going to have people like Carmen Velazquez. You're not going to have many people like Bianca Perez. You're not going to have many people like Liz Gonzalez. It just happens. Be careful of the intoxication of the title and the robe. You have to come together and, as my wife said, as one. Don't think as I want to go up to the appellate division, or I want to be supreme, because when you catch yourself in that type of a mindset, you have, for the most part, given away any sort of power you have. Because now you are individualizing your own personal interests, as opposed to the general interest, or the broader interest, which is to serve the community as a whole, as a unit, the judges. I'm not going to stand here and say anything more than that, because, sometimes we've all had, like I've always said, we've all had our problems. We've all had our challenges. I took it, and I don't seek any praise or any sort of congratulations or thanks for that. I did what I had to do because I felt I had to do it then. Okay? And heck, we've all had, pardon the expression, our asses handed up to us, right? Well, let me tell you something. I've had my ass handed to me so often, it's little wonder I have any ass left, But that's okay. But that's okay, because at some point, you got to like what you see in the mirror, okay? God bless each and every one of you. Please hang together, and remember, in unity there is strength. God bless you.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.